getting chunked. One elbow with Joko. That's a steal from Joko. Big ultimate in from Sartorius. This is getting messy very quickly. Warlight jumps onto Handsama. Should be able to pick him up. Oh, not there's the shutdown onto Fiora.
He might want to chase. Doko throws out the javelin and he flashes it. Handsama stays alive.
He's taking so much damage from the Lucian though. The culling is used and jukes him away. Maybe he can get the kill. Stop the ultimate with the 1v2, the triple, the quadra kill. He's going up against Warlight. Goes for the one-on-one. Warlight, he gets it. He shuts him down for the pentakill. Oh, hunked him out of the air. Fantastic by Masterwork. He'll have to flash away. Hollywings underneath the tower. Drags him in. First blood with the Rend.
Not getting away from that one.
Oh, he's all the way. And because the Black Shield was down, he gets the play. And the Fox. Pretty comes in, finishes him off. Welcome to day 2 of the European Challenger Series Spring Split playoffs in the semi-finals. I'm Richard Polscam. I am still joined by James Dress O'Leary on the cast desk to cast today's matches.
Still here, as are the players in Berlin. Again, we're into the second day. We've already got one team in the finals for next week. That is Huma, who is going to be joining them. I was trying to find a Huma joke there, couldn't get it.
Close, but no cigar. Anyway, today we'll be playing out the second semi-final between first seed Millenium and fourth seed Copenhagen Wolves. We're going to take a look at their side choices in just a second.
Oh, I wonder, can we guess what it is? They all pick blue side. Millenium obviously had the choices for 1, 3, 5. They wanted blue. Wolves had 2 and 4. They wanted blue, so no shenanigans like yesterday where we had Huma go, well, we'll be blue side the first 4 games is how it plays out, and then we'll change it around. Oh, they picked red side, actually.
Yeah, I mean, like, whatever they did, it worked. They won, so whatever, man. But let's dial in on the EUCS playoff bracket to see what a win here means for the teams. As we said yesterday, fairly simple. Semi-finals into finals in this bracket. We already have one team filled out. We just need to see who out of Millenium and Copenhagen Wolves in the best of 5 today will join Huma in the finals next week, Tuesday.
Of course, these teams in that finals are going to be playing for, obviously, the Challenger Series crown, which gives them better seeding into the promotion tournament. But both teams that make it to the finals will have that promotion tournament spot. And, you know, before we dive into the action, if you need to catch up on any of the VODs, any of the rules, seemingly I need to check up on the rulings so I can talk about how promotion works. You can head over to lolesports.com and you can get all of that information.
Yeah, maybe check the English dictionary as well while you're at it.
That's not on LOL Esports, but there's plenty of that on the internet.
At some point, I'm sure. But let's get right to those lineups before we derp around any more in this best of 5 series. First up on the blue side, it is first seed Millenium. Top lane Kaze, jungle Joko, mid lane Pretty, ADC Handsama with support Masterwork. And, well, after week 5, Millenium were back, basically. Like, week 4 was kind of disappointing experience up against Inspire. They just kind of fell apart. But then in week 5, okay, they were against SK, but they just played it well. You know, they exploited the bottom lane specifically from SK, and they just completely destroyed them in the 2v2.
Yeah, SK were trying to play the Protector Varax comp that we actually saw kind of work for them before. This time there wasn't a whole lot of protection. It was the Janna, it was the Shen, and what that translated to is Lucian and Alistair going, oh, you've got Janna Cogmore, and we're just going to dive you at level 6. And time again, that kind of happened, and they got such a good lead. And at that point, we were like, there's no external factors in this fight. That was a straight-up 2v2. Well, here come the external factors with Suno and Dotgo attempting the kill. Oh, you thought you got him. That was the time you nearly killed Handsama.
Not today. And then Millenium actually just closed in and killed them all. Like, that was such a depressing sequence of events for SK. Like, they lose the 2v2, they try to close in and then still die and just lose 4 people. And yeah, it was just them running all over SK last week. It was rough on week 5.
Super rough in that. Good for Millenium and good for Handsama in a personal performance as well. He was given kind of the tools to carry and ended up with like 18 kills over 2 games. Even had 18 assists with it as well. Like, he had a really good week in week 5, so a lot better out of him.
Yeah, I like the symmetrical scoreline there. Just need a different number, I guess. 4's not very, like, you can't cut that down the middle and then it's the same either way, but whatever. Also talking about Millenium and just how strong they have been at like different points in the game. At 10 minutes, they've on average been 827 gold ahead, and then going into 20 minutes as well, 4,211. So not only are they getting advantage early, they're converting it into a bigger lead at 20 minutes, and generally the game's almost ended there, despite them getting destroyed in week 4. Like, that didn't even hit the averages.
That's the interesting thing, because it does include those 2 games where they lost, and we were like, man, okay, maybe that's going to hit their average. No.
Nope.
20 minutes, Millenium look pretty unstoppable, and they've shown us probably the highest potential out of every team, but right in the back of my mind there's that, what if it's the week 4 Millenium that shows up? What happens if they get outplayed and people have read their tools or their strategy pretty effectively? That's what Inspire did. Maybe we'll see if the Wolves can do it.
You're right, that's what we were wondering, whether they just like made a template to beat Millenium, abuse the mid lane champion pool, that type of stuff, but so far, no. So we'll see if Copenhagen Wolves can do that today, because we're going to take a look at their lineup now, trying to take Millenium down a notch. So in the top lane, it is Wicked, jungle Ku, mid lane Soren, ADC Panoy, and his trusty support, Sir Nukesalot. First off, Copenhagen Wolves did look better with Ku. Subbing him in, and Ku, like, even though they didn't have much time to prepare with him, he fit into the team very well. Like, he made some good reads. They were fairly simple reads, but reads nonetheless. So yeah, I think they can be a much stronger team now, but time will tell.
I think so as well, because what Ku did was he was like, okay, well, let's go top lane. Let's kind of camp for Wicked, try and get him ahead. Wicked was playing the Poppy, so a champion that has somewhat of a linear path where it's, you're tanky and you can deal damage, and you always want to try and go for that carry, blasting a couple of people away. Like, while there are decisions to be made, it's kind of all systems go. You don't see a Poppy that's like, I'm just going to sit back, apart from if you're like behind and you want to ult people away, but they got ahead, so it was just all about that aggression. The thing is, they had an easy set of games when you look at it. In the first game, Mouse picked kind of a low damage composition, really only having 1.5 threats. And then by the time they'd lost game 1, they already knew they couldn't make playoffs. So it was like, well, game 2 is a little bit strange. We saw the Twitch. It's like maybe they weren't 100% serious in that game. So
yeah, the first game was where you can take most of it from, definitely in week 5. Also, things to mention: Kadril is in for Soren, which is going to be pretty difficult for them, because Soren, in like all of their wins and all the games they did well, even like against Inspire, Soren was always, he wasn't quite like the backbone of the team, but he was always performing well. And like you can just see in week 5, like 2 games as Victor, he absolutely destroyed them 18-0-10. Like, he always puts up these strong score lines. Whether Kadril can be as consistent as that, I don't know.
Well, for people that maybe haven't seen Kadril before, we got the chance to cast one of his series when we actually saw Renegades Banditos, the team he was on at the time, playing against Millenium to get into Challenger. So maybe there's a little bit of revenge here. Kadril seemed pretty decent. They were getting leads early on in the game, so seemed to have early game presence that would just fall off, because at the time Pretty was playing a lot of Anivia, all of these wave clear mid laners, so it became difficult for Kadril to have in-lane impact. I wonder whether they can get him into the game in other areas now, or whether he's going to go and do what Soren did on the Victor. Time will tell, but I'm interested, because he's a player that is up and coming, and we haven't seen too much from yet.
Yeah, I just want to see if he gets like neutralized in the mid lane, because that's what happened in the qualifiers, right? It was just like, as you said, Anivia, Orianna, and it was just like, I'm just going to like mid lane, and you can pick Ahri or whatever, and like you can just sit there and I'm going to push you into tower. So yeah, I don't know if like they'll try and facilitate them more, or he'll try to go to side lanes and snowball them, because what did work was getting like Wicked ahead on like more linear champions like Poppy, less decision-making than, say, Fiora, where, of course, we have the famous teleport, where he teleports in front of Holy Phoenix and just let him kill him. Like, like, that doesn't happen to a Poppy. Poppy just, like, teleports in. It's like, oh, I lost most of my health, but I'm still Poppy. I'm going to run away, get more resistances, I'm tankier. There's more room to, like, make missteps and still do a stupid amount of damage. So, yeah, we'll see.
I'm looking forward to getting into picks and bans, because this is a series that, in theory, is fairly cut and dry. When you look at it from an outside perspective, when it's like, okay, how are the teams performing compared to each other? Yeah. Generally, I think everybody would say Millenium is the strongest team we've had in Challenger overall. Yeah. So Wolves have their work cut out for them, but it's not a done series. It's all going to come down to the draft, because we're on 6.4. There have been some changes. Some champions that Millenium have played have been hit. Does that open up options for the Wolves to look at areas? Maybe the top lane. The matchups have been changed slightly, with GP, Fiora kind of falling down. So
I think it definitely starts here. I also think that Poppy will be a contested pick. Like, Kaze's gone off on Poppy in multiple games. Like that first game, we saw Kaze really go ham was where he just like ran down mid lane as Poppy and killed 3 people by himself, like, you know? And then when Wicked's done really well is being like on Poppy instead of like carry picks Fiora, otherwise he's been on tanks. So either we see it banned out or maybe they'll look for an early pickup. We'll see. Alistair, Braum, both those are banned away.
So this
interesting
is
targeting the support picks.
Especially when you... So Masterwork, we know Thresh, Morgana, he is more than comfortable to play. Morgana has a very different playstyle, obviously, though, to a lot of the things that Millenium want to do in general, which is diving, aggressive plays. Sure, you can pick people off, but it's not the same kind of level. This is so much focus on bottom lane because Millenium have done this before, remember? They say, we can play so many different things that we're going to take away your best champions, and then you can play the lane against us.
That's what they're aiming for in this game. I mean, all of those champions that we've seen the bot lane Millenium line to pick up anyway, but Sir Nuxlot has definitely shown a propensity to pick Trundle.
He has,
lot.
yeah, that's true.
So yeah, we'll see what they pick up there. There's the Poppy ban.
Okay,
right, so
that makes sense.
Yeah, respect it against Kaze. Like, I wouldn't even put it past them to look for an early pick, but there's a lot of power picks still up.
Nidalee's up. Gragas is banned out now, so you kind of... If I'm Millenium, I actually would probably prioritize the jungle right here. With Gragas banned, you take the Nidalee away. Where does that leave you for jungle picks? It leaves you on the next tier down, where you've got the Kindreds, the Lee Sins, these kind of champions that are more carry-orientated. You mentioned it. They don't go for a jungle. They go for the flex.
Yeah, go for the flex of Corki. I mean, Corki is just good. Pretty's played it once so far, mainly on, like, you know, Anivia or Orianna on the control mages, but it's still good on Corki. There's pretty much like no mid laner right now who doesn't play Corki in some way. There's
a really interesting stat actually. The only champion that has been played by every single mid laner in the EU LCS is Corki.
Yeah.
The marksman.
Yep. I mean, he's good. Like, he's strong, and he's still good. Like, he got hit by nerfs, and then people just started finding other ways to adapt with it. Like the grass build we saw against Zed. I'll talk about it if we do see Zed in this game, but I don't know if Cagel's going to pick it up.
This is interesting. This now says to Sir Nuxlot. Sorry, says to Masterwork. You kind of have to play Thresh because or bring something else out. I'm looking at Masterwork's champion pool. He has only played Morgana, Alistair, Thresh.
Yeah.
So either he picks the Thresh or takes something else, one of the maybe supports that have different functions. We might see a Janna. I'm not a big fan of Janna right now, but teams are playing her. We've also started seeing Bard creep in to the meta. He's like so close to being meta, but isn't quite.
He's on the cusp.
Yeah.
He's kind of floating around there somewhere, but yeah, I actually, something I would want to see Millenium run is just like a Bard Zillion. I feel like that's something that Millenium could really pull off well. But maybe not in this game.
I do quite like the Morgana Nautilus, though. This is going to sound really weird. It is still a double flex. Not only have we seen Morgana in the mid lane from players like IKER in the LCS, we've also seen Nautilus in the mid lane this morning. I believe Fly from KT ran Nautilus again.
Last week.
and last week, I'm like, Nautilus mid, nice.
Yeah, I'm going to be picking that one up later tonight. But, well, that was a fast lock-in. Nidalee and Ezreal, we had Kindred, also picked up for Joko. And then the Lucian, you talked about a potential Janna pickup. May even see Janna Lucian is a strong lane. Hans Summers has some really good games as Lucian. It would just facilitate him. Means that Masterwork can't make the same kind of like aggressive plays that he usually makes in the bot lane that helps set up Hans Summer.
The thing I would say about this is if he does go Thresh, I don't think it's that bad for him because the cooldowns on all of Thresh's CC into Morgana is not that bad. I mean, if you can bait the Black Shield out first, then it becomes a fairly easy lane. It's something I actually was talking about Kissing with like a year and a half ago, where it's like he actually didn't mind the Thresh Morgana matchup back then because of the timing windows that he had available. It also gives Masterwork the ability to... That's something I wasn't expecting.
Yes, boys.
It gives Masterwork the ability to make plays.
It does.
That's what I was
He's also lucked in the Thresh, so everything you just said is going to come true. Riven picked up and one of my favorite champions.
That's technically that's blind. If I want to be.
Yeah.
I mean, there's an inference that the Nautilus is going top.
That
you can infer that, but that's not defined.
No, it is not.
The Morgana could be mid, the Nautilus could be support. So, Riven into Nautilus. Nautilus, a champion who generally has good melee, good matchups into melee, and has a shield. that is just like, you want to trade on me? I'm going to auto you, put my shield on, walk away.
So,
Huh.
all right. When we get in game stress,
Yeah, I'm
you
going
can
to
probably
give you
just,
some
I will be talking for like
Yeah.
hours on this pick and this matchup.
I'll
But let's talk about the
proceed.
compositions
Yeah.
first.
So, TF locked in last pick. So Caedrel, he plays a fair amount of TF. That's something we actually have seen before. He's going to look, I imagine, here to... I want to say snowball bot lane or top lane, but unless you can like shut down the Riven early against the Nautilus, Riven probably isn't going to do a huge... unless Riven snowballs super early, she's not going to do a huge amount, so snowballing off it's not the most difficult thing anyway. Some really interesting comps out of both teams. Some stuff I just was not expecting.
It got very crazy towards the end of Champions like that. Yeah, normal, okay, they're picking away these picks here and they're targeting the support champion pulls. Riven, Twister Fate.
So Millenium are running without a pure tank. They don't have anything like a Gragas or a Witch's Band or Malphite, any of these champions, not even like a Poppy. You got a Riven who doesn't really want to build towards a tank route. You want to go more kind of glass cannon. She will naturally get some. So they're going to have to rely on the Kindred ultimate to keep them alive in fights. However, they have damage out of everywhere. Kindred, Riven, Corki, Lucian. Like, if they get ahead in the early game, this game ends quickly.
This is a composition that can snowball like really hard. But then again, Twisted Fate is also a champion who would like to snowball. There you see all the players who are joining us today in the studios. So jump on Twitter, use the hashtags, hashtag MILWin and hashtag CWWin. All these insane compositions. Want to know what you think about them? Because we're going to be telling our thoughts on them very shortly. But as we get into the first game of this best of 5 in the semi-finals here in the EU Challenger Series, and the winner here will advance to the finals and be meeting Huma for seeding going into the promotion tournament. It's very important getting that seeding into those finals. But it all starts here for the teams with this first win that they're looking to pick up.
It does, and to highlight why it's so important, the second place challenger team actually has an extra round of games to play alongside the bottom LCS team. So it's a bit of a gauntlet that is fairly difficult to explain, so I'll just leave it at that.
Yes.
The better the seeding, the technically fewer games you have to play.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Lots of water just went down in the river, and we're not going to see heavy invades to start off this game. Okay, anything in terms of starting items? Not really. I guess one of the biggest differences is Kaze going for longsword triple potion. Just gives you more sustain in the early game versus Darren's Blade. If you're going up against a Nautilus who usually goes for corrupting potion, you cannot go for Darren's Blade as Riven or like snowball picks, because you just lose the first trade and then you don't have as much effective health in lane. By going for triple potion, you have 450 extra health, so you can whittle down the stacks on the corrupting potion from Nautilus.
So generally, my Riven knowledge is mediocre at best. Does any of the new itemization affect or help Riven out with regards to like Duskblade? Is that an item you even want?
We'll talk about it in a second. We just have a small invade from Nuxala. He's just trying to be annoying.
Yeah, he didn't get the Wolf Spirit. It was
I think he got
away.
experience though from the little Merc Wolves. He got a little bit. In terms of new itemization, no. Duskblade hasn't been picked up by a lot of Riven players because you weave so many auto attacks into your combo. Because you want to whittle people down with your combo. Oh, that sucks.
And then go all in, right? Yeah. So it's not the same as a Z where you kind of
go 100-0. Yeah, pretty much.
True.
That's only one of the small things. You're typically seeing Rivens go for Black Cleaver now instead of the Tiamat first. So obviously you won't see the same animation cancel you get early, but it does make you more tankier against a lot of the top picks right now. The problem with Riven is she has so many like natural predators in top lane. Yeah, it's really difficult. So we're actually seeing this lane swap. So we saw this from Copenhagen Wolves to try and shut down the Riven, but I actually like this more from Millenium because it gets Riven past a horrible stage in the early games, whereas you rightly said in Champions, like Nautilus, his E will just wreck Riven. Like there's not much you really do in those first couple levels.
And this is one of the kind of things I want to watch as this game goes on, because this is not a matchup, especially not on 6.4, that I've even seen in a long time. And I would have to feel though that the Riven, even against Nautilus in a couple of minutes time, if they end up in a 1 versus 1, as long as Naut's not shoving the wave out and giving Riven the ability to farm, it should be a lane that the Wolves should be able to control. And Riven, is going to have to pick stuff up from elsewhere on the map. I may be off the mark on that.
Yeah.
We haven't seen Riven since a lot of the heavy-handed nerfs that came after Worlds. She did get a slight buff when it's her base health regeneration was increased to revert an old nerf that came a long time ago.
Yeah.
But it was a minor buff, didn't really bring her all the way back up to the top.
It didn't, but it's nice because that nerf also came with Riven getting extra health on her E, extra shielding at the expense. So basically you had to shield stuff instead of just being able to regen and shield all the time. Now she has both, but yeah, as you mentioned, like the top lane pool in terms of champions is just so difficult for Riven to deal with right now. However, in this lane swap up with both the towers dropping early, I like the Riven a lot more because you can chase people down long lanes. It's kind of the same theory as top lane Lucian, where you can chase people down in these long lanes and Nautilus can't really get away from you. If you start losing a trade, you are dead. You have to be confident that you're going to win the trade and back off and not be in kill range, because down a long range, like Riven's kill potential goes up significantly. It goes from like maybe a kill pressure of like 60% to like 80%.
Okay, well, we'll have to watch that. There has been a lot happening in the beginning of the game. I know we focus very much on Riven, but it is one of the more interesting things
of the game, depending on how this goes. Yeah,
exactly. If it works well for Kaze, it will be the story of this first game. But Copenhagen Wolves were a little bit slower on the lane swap, which meant that you can see Lucian now has moved up into the top side for Millenium and is trying to just hold the wave where it is. Wolves are trying to make a play bottom side, though. Spear doesn't land onto Kaze, and there is a tower still here. So this isn't the dive that they really want here. Look, there's 3 people already from Millenium. You don't want a 3v3 dive right now. You're too early to have even numbers.
Yeah, I'm not sure I really like that from Ku. He was putting pressure down under the tower, but I guess they'll split the experience, and Riven won't get as much as you may have done in the 2v2. But yeah, I'm not sure if that was the most efficient use of time. Either way, they're not going to put them too far behind really from that. Mid lane we haven't spoken about too much. Pretty versus Kadril. Kadril stepping in for Soren, of course, and is basically even in the mid lane so far. Is really at level 6 where Twist of Fate will turn on.
If that hit Pinoy, I would have actually probably taken my headset off and walked away.
Yeah.
From a warded area that you were watching somebody.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Anyway, it was very close.
It was good. It was fine. Pinoy had it red.
He did. All right. There's not too much going on in the bottom lane right now. We just have Hans Hammer was in the top lane going for the one-on-one. And we did actually get the top lane Lucian after all, but he'll go to the bot lane now, I guess.
Not quite
Kaze will go back. Not quite Kabashad.
No.
Kind of dropped off a little bit, but I really wanted to see more of it before it died out.
The thing is that the wave actually, he now pushed it away from him, so I wonder, are they putting the Riven top now? Because Lucian has gone bottom, so they're looking for that 1 versus 1. To me, this feels a bit strange from the fact that you don't have the outer tower top lane. So unless Nautilus makes a mistake, pushes it into you and you can freeze and pull the Nautilus around, it's tough to get easy farm there.
Yeah, Ku actually just got wrecked in that trade. And Ku not quite going to be triggering the E there from Joko. But they were dueling it over the crab, and unfortunately because it went down, it meant that it like dashed upwards towards Joko. So it's like, well, I get this now. And he got level 6 off of that, so Ku had like 0 pressure to go for the one-on-one.
Ooh, Pinoy is doing his best double lift impression. Tier into Cull Ezreal.
See you in
super
15
greedy.
minutes.
Yep, but it's actually not too bad when you look at it. Kadril takes a bit of damage, but the reason is because you're waiting to stack anyway. All this is going to do is kind of help you build your second item that bit faster. It's roughly around the time that a Cull will stack that you're looking at getting a second item completed, so, or at least a little bit before that, helps you towards it fairly quickly.
Going back onto the topic of sending the Riven top, I think it was bounced. Yeah, it was bounced up to tower, so now it's going back to Kaze. It was difficult. There was kind of like a window there where Kaze may have overstepped and Ku would have been able to gank him. That's why Ku's in the top side of the map. And then Wicked, because he had a level advantage and a large CS lead, there was a window, but now that Masterwork has the time to go from bottom lane to top lane to assist Kaze under tower, he'll be soaking up all of this farm.
Yeah, man, that's a big wave in front of him. So I actually think the Lucian didn't manage to get it into tower. I would have to go back and watch it on my screen. Unfortunately, I had to rejoin the game and quit out. So at least from reading the minimap, I think Wicked stepped up to the wave. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I think there was the opportunity, if they read that Riven was coming top, to have punished. But it's such a small window, especially with Nautilus. It means you can't E-farm, and you know it's an awkward one. But still, it's a very kind of tricky, finicky beginning when you're trying to get a Riven safely through the early game, especially in a matchup like this.
I think they've done it though. I think Millenium has gotten Riven out of there because she's not really behind on farm anymore against Wicked. The only thing is really levels, and she'll be hitting level 6 fairly shortly. And then once she has level 6, she will have kill pressure against Nautilus. He's gone for the Balmy Cinder first, which I actually think is fairly greedy against a Riven. Like you would prefer really to have the armor from the chain vest, and then have like extra health coming in from just the ruby crystal. This is fairly greedy. Bottom lane.
TF coming through.
He's teleporting down, but I think it's a little too late. The hug comes in from Masterwork, drags him into the tower, takes a couple tower shots, and Hans Hammer will punish him. And now I think Copenhagen Wolves will just kind of back away. Masterwork is so competent, by the way. Level 4 versus level 6 Nidalee clearing away this pink, and he's just like, I'm going to hit you. I'm going to get all this damage I can.
That's what we've come to expect from Masterwork there. The same happened. There was Millenium, knew exactly what was about to happen. Meanwhile, top lane. Oh, here's the package.
Pretty comes in, gets the Thunderlord's proc. Couple more fast bombs will come out, and Joko lands a first blood into top lane onto Wicked. He goes down. Unfortunate Nautilus.
Well, again, it's another example of a team creating a play the other side of the map. At the same time, their opponents are not quite getting anything. We saw this yesterday, in fact, where the first package of the game has a massive impact that unless you're respecting it, I mean, the audio cue's gone off. You know it's coming somewhere. You've just got to absolutely be aware of where that could happen. And it was going to be top side of the map because the play has been made bottom side. They're not going to go aggressive there after a lot of things have been used. So it's unfortunate, but if there's one saving grace for Wolves on that, it's that the Riven wasn't involved at all.
Yeah.
The other side of that is the Devourer Kindred was involved. So unless you can somehow shut down the Kindred now as well, there's going to be a lot of damage as this game goes on.
And the other caveat was 91% over to Millenium. I don't disagree, but
was that the other caveat, or is there another caveat?
Yeah. So that just took me by surprise. But yeah, Kaze, he soaked up like 2 minion waves and also took the tower, so we got like 350 gold from that plus the minion wave. So yes, he didn't pick up the kill, but he got the same amount of gold regardless.
Exactly. So it's just like, well, there's a lot of positives.
So I think that was
anyway.
more of a lose-lose situation from Copenhagen Wolves.
Hey, you got to look for the silver linings.
Yeah, I was looking for it, but then even in the silver linings, it was still a little bit murky.
It's like, at least he didn't get the farm and get the kill.
Yeah, okay.
I'm clawing. I'm clawing, clutching at straws.
But there's the Black Cleaver build that we're looking at from Kaze's first item. He's just building towards it now. The problem is, like, Riven can't go for like just raw damage items like Hydra anymore, like as a first item, because most first items from top laners are like some 5k or some armor item or Iceborne Gauntlet, and you just can't get through the damage through the armor. So instead, you have to go for Black Cleaver and go for the Shred, and because you can't go like very early Last Whisper, which you used to have like third item as Riven, you have to go for first item Black Cleaver.
I'm interested now to see how Kaze continues on in this game, because he's actually had little impact on his own. So will he actually kind of turn into the style of Riven that Huni was playing, where it was just like quiet, 4-person stun, win a team fight, game's done?
Maybe.
Which, some games Huni would go huge early game. Yeah. And then others, he knew how to sit back and play Riven and not overextend. It was only when he was doing well and then got put behind that Huni started showing those shaky Riven games. So when he was kind of even from the beginning, it was okay. But, TF coming in.
Joko potentially caught out here. Cage, he locks in the red card, goes full Reginald, and because of that, Masterwork will just get Joko out of there with the Dark Passage.
Oh, that's so sad, because that was 100% a kill. If that's a gold card, that is a dead Kindred. No flash, couldn't get out. Oh, that's sad.
And it was all down to the red card, basically, from Cage. Or maybe some nerves here. There's the gold card, instantly cleansed out by Pretty. He may be able to pick up a kill. He has the flash, so does Cage. I don't think he really wants to exchange flashes. So he'll force him out of there. That was a summoner, though, from Pretty. So I think overall, despite Cage being pushed away, he did win.
He did. Well, at the same time as well, Kadril used his TP to come back to the lane to then use his ultimate to come to the fight. So it was this really weird situation where over the last minute and a half, Kadril actually used a lot.
Yeah.
And now he doesn't have that available as the rest of Millenium are pushing up. Luckily, Pinoy is kind of here to cover. Even though he's low health, he is coming up just to absorb some of the first minions. And it provides presence and says, you can't push onto this turret straight up. You'd have to catch me first. And it's not something the Millenium want to commit to right now. So there was a lot used, but not a lot from either team.
Pretty much. It's interesting we're seeing so many Kindreds. I say so many. 2 out of like the last 2 days. Going for a Devourer now instead of the Warrior enchant. Just something to keep track of, I guess.
Yeah.
It's like the same thing as top lane Graves when we saw that very recently. Like people are starting to adapt to like the Death's Dance first item or second item, that type of build. So.
Oh, pretty. Oh, okay.
Oh. Just wanted to pink over the wall. Had he chosen the wrong bush though? Because he was like, do I go for this more defensive one?
Or do I go for the offensive one?
Yes. And you chose correctly on that one, pretty.
Yeah. You were talking about Devourer Kindred. It's something we used to see like once in a while.
Yeah.
It certainly wasn't the standard option on Kindred. Every so often you'd see a player go, I'm carrying this game.
Yeah.
And just go, hey, I heard you like stacks.
I'm going to get stacks for my stacks.
Oh, cool.
They have not had good luck with jungle camps this game. There was one reset on the Raptors. There was a reset on the blue buff.
Not only that, but we've seen a lot of face plants.
Yeah.
So this always sounds a little bit silly when people say this, but it's actually true if you ever speak to a player that has played on the low ping environment. Yeah. It's theoretically easier to make snap decision plays.
Yes.
But it's also messes with your timings of like running up to a wall and pressing W.
Can you do
Only
it?
by a little bit. Like
sticks the landing.
But I just wonder whether that happened to Ku there or whether it was just he ran up and actually just missed. Like,
let's go with the former on this one and give him the benefit
of the doubt. He
However,
has played LCS games.
That is true. If he does that for the rest of the series, no forgiveness. But for the game 1, I'll give it to you.
People will be there, be like, these guys. What do they mean, 7 ping? You messes things up. No, it does really change things.
Because like you sometimes like even with like think of like an Alistair combo before you could buffer the W or the Q rather. You would jump in and then you would wait for a second and then you would click. And now that timing has been completely messed up for the players, so you just have to think of it in like those terms.
Yeah.
But with face planting a wall. Yes, okay, maybe you didn't calculate the wind speed and all of that stuff, but yeah, we'll see. Kadril just clearing out the top turret as the Black Cleaver completed. Top lane, Wicked has picked up the Sunfire Cape. Wasn't really punished for going for Balmy Cinder first. Goes for Swiftness Boots though, which is interesting. Why would you do that?
Swiftness
Let me think
Boots
about it.
on,
Nautilus.
On Nautilus, try and run away on that long lane. From the ribbon.
Yeah, I guess.
That's about as good an answer.
Yeah.
I mean, they did get hit on this patch.
Bit of movement speed.
Movement speed shaved off the top. Not a whole lot, but was enough just to kind of tweak them, tune them down. They're going to help him try and run away here.
Well, it will help him against the slow coming out from Joko, which goes down right now. So the extra half a second may help him out, or maybe convert it into a kill onto Joko. He'll have to pop the ultimate, the Lamb's Respite. Does he have an out? Wakanda is going to jump in and go in for the combo, but he's CC to high heavens. Kadril will also CC him up with the gold card. And that was ultimately a 2 for 0. Masterwork also caught out by Pinoy. Spear comes across and he'll have to flash it. That was going to land if he didn't go for the flash there. Pinoy still with the chase down. He's low on mana. Jumps under the tower. The hook
Flame
lands.
comes out.
There's the flame. Knocks him away. One more tower shot.
He got
him up as he walks away. The one-on-one Masterwork support against AD carry takes him out.
I mean, Pinoy had to know that he was getting hooked and flayed under the turret at that point. Hans Sama now could be in trouble. Does have his flash and has his heal.
Ku's chasing after Kadril. He's looking for that gold card. The double flashes are exchanged. Nice binding from Nuxalot. Curves around the minions. That's another kill for Copenhagen Wolves. Starting this game pretty strong.
Starting off pretty strong as this game opened up, at least. Copenhagen Wolves punishing Millenium on a too far pushed up bottom lane attempt from Millenium. it was 2 people against 4. I don't think the knowledge had really been read. Kadril, I believe, even got his TF ult right into this fight again. So let's take another look. Joko actually passes over Ward, and Masterwork was here as well. This initially was a 3 versus 2. It's just that it went on for so long. Look, the miscommunication perhaps here by Joko and the rest of his team. Good wards on top of the Lantern, blocks him from taking that. The rest of Copenhagen Wolves also standing on top of it makes it very difficult to click on the Lantern.
Yeah.
You have like 2 wards and 3 people on top. It's like, I'm trying to take it, I can't get it. And from here, we see Pinoy making a little oopsie, I think, here. Ease into the turret, into the minions. And
yeah, I mean, at that point, it's all, because they exchange flashes, it's all on the sidestep.
Yeah.
Like, that's what they had to do. We're going to see Hansama eventually be picked up here by Kadril, but I mean, this was fairly clean.
This is just Kadril. As soon as he's locked this gold card, he knows that this is a kill. Like, I mean, it's a good follow-up binding, but it's an easy one from Sinukes a lot.
Yeah.
Just layering the CC. Pretty straightforward.
Yep.
Got the flash and the heal, though. The heal did not save from Hansama.
He was thinking maybe if a binding didn't land, he'd be able to stay alive. This is the Dragon now being contested. Joko over the wall looking for the steal. He finds it, but he may be going down. Yep, too much CC coming out from Nautilus. This is one of the occupational hazards of playing against a Nautilus. It's like, it's too much CC.
It's like the Leona of top lane.
Or you put Leona in top lane,
no,
and then you have the
I
Leona
don't
up
think
top
anyone
lane.
should ever do that, Pulse.
No. I tried, but it's not good.
Was that the Leona or
Bit of both.
Anyway,
Bit of both.
in this game, I'll stop. I won't keep going down that path. It's a dangerous path we tread.
It is. We'll get there in like game 3, or if this goes to 5 games, I'm sure we'll get there at some point. Stress. There's plenty of time. Yeah, Copenhagen Wolves though, 5-2 in terms of kills. They're only just even in terms of gold though, because of how many towers that Millenium picked up. The first dragons have been also controlled. This has been a very much objective-based game from Millenium, which is usually what you don't see when there's a Riven in the game. But
so this movement now on the map from Millenium, super aggressive on the top side, is indicative of a team who knows that there may be an opening soon to do Baron. Like, I'm not going to say they're going to commit to it, but the way they all moved up top to look toward was kind of a bit of a temperature check.
Yeah.
Just on how Wolves had things warded, whether they had deep wards, where, you know, areas where I don't think Millenium are in a situation that they can look to do that. They are slightly behind. TF coming into the bottom lane.
1 versus 2. Kaze's used most of his cooldowns in that trade with Wicked and while he's trying to farm, so there's literally nothing he can do once the Kadril comes in with gold cards. So this will be a very easy tower in bot lane. Yeah, they'll split it. So that's just another pick. Utilizing the Twist of Fate in mid lane really well. Kadril just getting into this team and still performing well and making coordinated plays is really nice to see.
Yeah, it is. Oh, this is an overstep by Joko. Ice Spawn Gauntlet is there, but it wasn't the cooldown wasn't available on that Q. Had just been procced. Q's without a turret. So top lane, what happened in that kind of sequence is Pinoy used his ultimate, took a lot of the wave coming from top, meant they couldn't push there. Kaze wants to 1v1 Kadril. Good flash.
Nice kill combo, but he doesn't have the rest of the follow because the TP comes out from Wicked. Kadril locks the gold card.
Oh, now he's behind 3.
Yeah, he's probably dead if he gets hit by anything. Tries to combo Ku, jumps out of the way with Pounce, and Pinoy's also there, binding from across the wall. Kaze should be going down here. Masterwork lands the hook onto Ku. That'll be securing his fate. Wicked into the bottom side of the fight. Nukeslot is being collapsed on by Pretty and Joko. He'll go down for the double kill over to Pretty. Masterwork and Hansama still in pursuit of Copenhagen Wolves. Pinoy should have his E. Kadril, does he have an out? Not really. Hook turns around from Wicked, doesn't land onto Masterwork. Hansama flashed on by Kadril. Ultimate True Shot Barrage takes him down. That'll be Joko and Masterwork now Pretty rotating in, but the double kill comes in for Pinoy. This is a 2 versus 3, and maybe now is the time to disengage from Millenium as another gold card is locked in by Kadril. The first red card we saw from him was just a red herring.
Huge miscommunication by Joko and Pretty there. It looked like Millenium were expecting to chase them all the way down the river. We'll catch it at the tail end of this fight. So this was Kaze looking to go aggressive, gets the stun onto Kadril, but he just doesn't have the damage right now to continuously go aggressive, especially with Wicked TPing in. The gold card hovering above Kadril's head is too big of an indicator that Kaze would die. Ultimate was thrown out as Kaze was trying to get himself out, but inevitably locked down between the multiple members. So look at how this fight expands here. Joko and Pretty go up for Sir Nukesalot, get the kill. And from here, watch them on the minimap, because they look to come down, and then look, they're like, okay, we can go up around the side and box them in. The problem is, Copenhagen Wolves read the play, and they're like, well, we have a 3 versus 2 for another 10 seconds. Pretty still in the river, just running down now, and Hansam is already dead. So there was no follow-up from the other 2 members from Millenium, and now Joko and Pretty are here, and they're like, well, we're 2 versus 3 now. We can't go aggressive.
Oh, Pretty finds Ku, or has Ku found Pretty? I'm not really sure right now as the spear lands,
TF found him.
and Kadril comes in. He's pretty dead. I actually really like this by Kadril. I think he may be going points into Resolve as well. I need to double check, but he's gone Distortion Lucidity, and he did it very early on, meaning he has Flash on like a 3 to almost 4 minute cooldown. If he's going points in Resolve, then he'll have it on like a 3 minute cooldown. Because I've seen him make so many Flash plays this game. I feel like that's what he's done. But he's really utilized the build extremely well.
He has, and he's been playing a very tricky style to play against. He's playing purely reactionary when it comes to Millenium overstepping. He's very rarely looking for plays bot lane. There was the one where they went 2 versus 1 under tower, but they knew that was a kill on Kaze anyway. What he's been doing is punishing Kaze every time he moves out of a safe position. And that's one way of getting this Twisted Fate to work, is he's not necessarily snowballing one person alone. He's snowballing whoever's in the lane against Kaze. And Kaze is having an awful time because of it. I mean, this Riven pick is not working out.
Not yet. I was also thinking, just like going back to the offline environment discussion, having 7 ping is actually really good for Riven, because you can actually combo faster and more cleanly and cancel animations way faster.
Oh, Joko with the misclick.
Yeah, rip. Just takes a little bit of damage there.
Nice dodge.
Valkyrie out of the dredge line. I do know, however, that Kaze has put a lot of games into Riven. You can see that just by how he set up the... Even though he died there, the way he set up his kill combo. Because for any aspiring Riven players out there, you always want to mask your ultimate, or most of the time, with E. So if you E ultimate immediately, it masks the start of the wind-up animation, and then you flash, you cancel the wind-up and the wind-down. So ultimate basically doesn't really have an animation.
It's like a yo-yo.
I know, it basically is. But if you pop your ultimate just by itself, you do this really slow, dumb animation where you raise your sword in the air, and then by the time you've done it, you've gotten gold card and you're dead. But if you mask with E and flash, you do it instantly, and then you can do it seamlessly with the rest of your combo, and then do the rest of your animation cancelling. So it's just something to keep a track of. And Kaze did it really nicely there. He's also picked up Distortion Lucidity, so he's going to be trying to make Flash plays. And Flash is surprisingly important for Riven's combos.
That was Destiny used. Did not get the gate part of it out, so no movement on the map for Kadril. They were just testing to see where Millenium are. It's not the longest of cooldowns. You can see it's already an 8th off on Kadril's indicator there. This is a lot better from the Copenhagen Wolves than I think a lot of people were expecting here. And I feel like the beginning of this came from Millenium not really anticipating any response from the Wolves. From the first couple of kills, the Wolves have just been playing a lot better in general, but I think the first few were Millenium really disrespecting. Especially with the movements that Joko made on the map. Aggressive plays into 2v3s, that kind of thing. So I hope Millenium will kind of settle themselves, because then we might start to see a bit more of the Millenium that we've seen in previous weeks.
Part of me feels like it even starts in Champion Select, where they like this is a composition that kind of wants a style on someone. Like not running a tank, they're running a Riven to try and snowball. Like double AD carry, Devour a Kindred. Your way of surviving a team fight is the Kindred ultimate if you drop low, but you're expecting to get ahead, so you just roll over your competition in every skirmish you go for. That has not happened. No. So I'm not saying like this game is unwinnable for Millenium, but they've hamstrung themselves by going for a very cocky composition.
And not only that, but other areas where you look at this lineup, Hans Sammer's built Phantom Dancer. Phantom Dancer. Yeah. Second item. Oh my god, cast OPL. He's bought Phantom Dancer as his second item, which You know, recently, especially, has not been a standard item on Lucian. Normally, the decision is static shiv or rapid fire cannon, whether you want the wave clear or the ability to stay alive a little bit better in fights when it comes to having the extra auto attack range and the added damage. So Phantom Dancer is an item where it's like, okay, well, if the TF gets on him and gold cards him, okay, well, I guess you're having reduced damage from TF, but that's not really a good... a massive boost to it. Maybe if the Nidalee gets on you, but she's going to burst you faster than you can really trade.
Yeah, good luck with that 12%, mate.
Yeah, exactly. It's like the 12% is an awkward setup here for the Lucian. And
I mean, it's a skirmish bird, right? Like, he's going for the 1v1s, he's looking for, like, the 2v2s, 3v3s,
But how often is he going to be 1v1 against somebody? Because this Nautilus is just going to go full armor from here. Like, he's got a little bit of magic resist when it comes to the cowl, but he's against 380 carries and a Riven. Yes, okay, Corki is magic damage as well, so we say 80 carry. It's an old habits die hard.
That's true. But still, like, even if they try 1-3-1 and have like a Fed Riven and a Fed Handsammer, like, they still have 2 teleports to meet them. So, like, Copenhagen Wolves have a really good setup to deal with this.
Oh, well, here comes one of them.
Gold card, onto Joko, ultimate, but there's not enough follow-up there.
Get the Hex Drinker, and they push him from the tower. And Wolves are here faster than Millenium. Kaze's bottom lane. That tower is just going to die.
They may convert this into kill onto Joko after all. Flash away by Masterwork. A spear lands. Panoy's also following after. Great chase down by Copenhagen Wolves. They have so many abilities to catch and chase and pick people. Once they land 1 CC, like 5 more is going to land on top of it.
Yeah, it's so difficult for Millenium to kite back away, especially from such a strong Ezreal right now. Panoy has quietly got himself 5 kills in this game and has been involved in 6 of the 11. So, I mean, what were Millenium thinking? With Kaze down in the bottom lane, teleporting to the tower, there were minions right next to that tower. The tower was like a 3-shot. And it got as soon as the TP came on, Wolves were like, we can just kill that if we focus it.
Yep.
Burns the TP, gets the tower, gets good damage onto the inhibitor tower as well. It will regen up, but
do we need to start talking about, like, offline environments in Copenhagen Wolves and experience? Because, like, Wicked, Panoy, they've played offline before on, like, the LCS stage. Ku also on LCS teams. Cajal, less experienced, of course. Nuxalot also unexperienced. But when you have 3 out of the 5 on a team who know how to deal with these situations versus Millenium, sure, they've played on offline lands, but not at these, like, high-stakes games, like at the LCS studio, you know? It's not the same thing. Should we revisit this in a couple games? Probably something to keep track of, perhaps, now. Yeah. I think so.
My big kind of criticism of this game is that in the current meta, what can you really expect from a Riven?
I think she gets wrecked by...
in general, the meta is so good against a pick that needs to snowball from the early game and doesn't want to build super defensive. I mean, yes, Black Cleaver has some components, Hex Drinker has some defensive components as well, but...
You're not Nautilus.
You're not Nautilus, you're not a tank in the top lane. Even the damage top laners, the likes of the Poppy, of the Fiora, have more tankiness than the Riven wants to build. And we're now at a point where there's a Zhonya's on the TF. You've got a very strong Ezreal that has a QSS to get out of the stun. There's so many options available. Black Shield as well is going to block the stun on a target. And it's very easy to read the kind of flank paths that a Riven wants to make. Because it's not quite the same as like a Hecarim or a Malphite where you've got an ult that takes you there. You have to run in.
Yeah.
Blue Trinket on top means, well, you can't go through this gap too easily.
It's usually got to be over walls and in blind spots. Like, even when you saw those big Huni plays, it was from, like, you flashes over a wall, or, you know, he comes in from fog of war. Like, it's really, really difficult. 031, he is decently farmed up. He's sitting on 1 item, built a lot of components. He went for another Warhammer very early just because he wanted to max CDR. But now they're in this horrible situation because Millenium never really wanted to group up, and they're being forced to because Copenhagen Wolves are knocking on the front door. Pretty gets caught out. Cajal should be able to chip away at the throat of the rest of the team. Middle inhibitor tower goes down. Copenhagen Wolves should be able to pick up this inhib uncontested.
Oh, Joko's coming around the side.
They come in for a pincer movement, but I'm not convinced they win this 5 versus 5. Joko will have to back away. Masterwork doesn't land his hook.
I mean, with no tank, they're just absorbing this poke.
This is not good at all. Copenhagen Wolves could very easily turn here. They go onto Handsammer, he gets caught out, Lamb's Respite comes down, but everyone on Millenium is so low. That being said, Ku just jumped in and instantly got popped, but Handsammer's dead, Kaze is dead. The wild card comes out, and
That's
so
going to be the game.
does the rest of the abilities from Copenhagen Wolves. Hook lands onto Joko. He doesn't have his ultimate anymore. And Copenhagen Wolves, against like all odds, and from what everyone thought was going to happen from the series, 91% in the fan vote said Millenium were going to claim this series, and Copenhagen Wolves are actually looking for the win in Game 1.
And they've looked good doing it. They've really smartly played around what Millenium had to offer in Game 1. Never let the Riven get rolling.
Kdral's found pretty. He's very dead. True Shot Barrage will finish him off. Masterwork will look for a hook. We've seen some great plays by Masterwork, but I don't think even he can 1v4 in this situation. Copenhagen Wolves go onto the Nexus. Nuke Slot just wants to style on Masterwork and just rub it in. Game 1 goes to Copenhagen Wolves in this best of 5.
Wow, that great performance from the Wolves in this first game here. Like, that was such a good way of dealing with the Riven. Have the TF constantly just go, I'm going to find you with my ult, I'm going to TP in, and I'm going to get everybody else kills.
Yep.
Yeah. Really smart play. I really like that game from the Wolves.
I'm really sold. Like, I am now a Wolves believer, because coming out of like the regular season, the wins they picked up against the bottom 2 teams didn't even look convincing. The win they picked up against Inspire didn't look convincing. That was just a different team, you know? And I wasn't expecting that. Past the regular season with that in mind, and then the fact that they have Kdral instead of Soren, who was like the linchpin on a lot of the wins, like, yeah, color me impressed.
It was good.
Good play.
That was an enjoyable game to watch for the Wolves as well, because you could see what they were doing at all points in the game. I mean, we have to attribute some of this to a suspect draft from Millenium, taking the Kindred when the Nidalee was up, taking the Riven blind into a potential Nautilus matchup, top lane. I just think that draft is... The top lane pick is outdated, and the draft is difficult to play. I mean, you have no tank against such a heavy poke composition and such a mobile composition as well. Very tough to play from Millenium, and they just didn't really live up to what their composition had to offer.
Yeah, honestly, for me, it definitely felt like a disrespect composition, and I want them to go back to what's worked for them, because, like, yeah, okay, Corki, most mid laners play him now, but pretty, that's not like a control mage, like most of what he usually picks. Like, top lane Kaze is usually on the tank, someone who can engage with him. So I want to go and see, like, Millenium go back to the Millennium formula that's won them so many games, instead of trying to style on their opponents. This is a best of 5, so they can still win 3 games from here. That's, you know, not impossible, but going a little bit further in this series than they may have wanted to, and this all matters. Like, in a best of 5 series, like, these games really start to wear on you after a couple hours. Like, it's difficult. We were talking to Godbro after the game. It's like, I'm exhausted. Like, it was a long day, you know? So it's more games than they really have to play. Anyway, that's Game 1 in the book, so we will be back with Game 2 just after this short break.